somebody needs to take Jordan Peterson's phone away. Somebody needs to put this old man to bed, because this stuff is getting out of control, right? God, there's so many examples of Jordan Peterson being just such a weird guy. Okay, so the first reason he was a weird guy that I saw was this tweet, okay? And it was a reaction to Jagmeet Singh. And for those of you who don't know who Jagmeet Singh is a I guess you can call him like a progressive leader in Canada. I think it's the NPD or the NDP. I forget exactly, right? I don't really pay too much attention to Canadian politics because I'm an American and Canada is America's hat. Kidding, of course. But he's a progressive politician. Yeah, NDP. He's the leader of the NDP, which is a progressive party in Canada. And he made a tweet about turbans, because he wears a turban. And he wanted to talk about other people in Canadian society who wear turbans, just saying that they contribute to society. And he tweeted out, I've had lots of great conversations about why I wear a turban and what it means, but some people try to make us feel less than. And I think of how that hurts kids especially. To them I say, be who you are. Have pride in all you bring to the table. You belong. So this is like the most like, hey, if you wear a turban, don't worry. You still contribute to our society. You're still important. Don't let people degrade you because of your religion. You're a good person. Don't let people bully you. You're okay. You're A-okay in my book. It's the most, I don't want to call it milquetoast because it's a nice message, but it's the most unobjectionable message you could possibly put out in relation to like turbans. And to be clear, hatred towards people wearing turbans is really, really, really bad. A lot of times it's not even like, oh, this person's Muslim, let's go get the turban. A lot of times it's Sikhs who aren't Muslim but wear turbans, and people mistake them as Muslims and then attack them, like multiple levels of racism and ignorance compounding to just give this person a terrible experience. I've heard of a lot of experiences of people, of like girls having their hijabs ripped off of their heads while they're in school, of people being assaulted for wearing turbans because people think they're terrorists, or all manner of like really negative behavior directed towards the Sikh community and the Muslim community. For just living their everyday life and just wearing a item of clothing that they find important for their religion. And somebody putting out a message like, hey, you're cool, we like you, you're perfectly fine. Honestly, if I was scrolling on Twitter, I would have read like the first two paragraphs and I wouldn't even read the rest of it. I would have gotten the message, would have kept scrolling. I don't even think I would have liked it. Not because I disagree with it, but just because it's like, okay, duh, and like keep going. It's like if I read a tweet that said like racism is bad, you know? It's like, okay, yeah, of course racism is bad. It's like lukewarm. Yes, it's lukewarm. It's good to say. I'm not saying it's bad to say. I'm saying it's good to say, but it's not like a controversial statement. And Jordan Peterson reacts to this by saying, pride's a sin there at Jagmeet Singh, and for a good reason. First off, he's not Christian, so I don't know why he would particularly care if pride is a sin in the Christian religion. Secondly, I don't think the motives behind that was, hey, take pride in who you are and like be a good person and don't let people get you down. I don't think when we were talking about that type of the sinful behavior of pride, I think letting pride get the better of you, like I'm better than other people and I can admit my shortcomings. That's what it's about. It's not about, hey, I take pride in who I am because I'm not going to let other people get me down. I'm not going to let other people bully me. I'm not going to let other people make me feel less than. But no, he, for whatever reason, sees this message, sees Jagmeet Singh trying to just put forward a message of like a diversity and acceptance on the most basic level possible. And Dr. Jordan Peterson says, man, this is really sinful. I better let Jagmeet Singh know how bad it is, how terrible it is that he's telling people who wear turbans that they're good people. And this was this just felt like an old man tweet. This just felt like an old man tweet, because I'm certain that if somebody built a house and posted, I'm proud of this house that I built, I don't think Dr. Jordan Peterson would be saying, pride's a sin, don't be proud of the house you built, or I'm really proud I raised a good son. I don't think Dr. Jordan Peterson would be coming out and saying, how dare you be proud that your son graduated from the University of Maryland or Yale, or you know, cured cancer. How dare you be proud of your child? No, he wouldn't. This just feels like Dr. Jordan Peterson being, I don't know why I'm leading with doctor. It just kind of feels like a get off my lawn, I'm angry for no reason because I got nothing better to do type of angry, you know? That's what it feels like. You know, those people you meet in public and you see them complaining and you listen to their complaints and you ultimately come to the conclusion that the reason that they're complaining isn't because they have, it's like actually negatively impacting their life, right?
You sit behind a computer and do a debate. It's ridiculous.
Hey, breakfast. Thank you so much for rating with the party too. It's not because they're like something actually negatively impacting their life. It's just because they want to complain. They got nothing better to do, you know? This happens a lot in like public parks, like really old, like elderly people. Not saying all elderly people, of course, not all old people, but a lot of elderly people who have nothing better to do, so they just like find things to call the cops on, you know? They just find things to complain about. That's what it feels like to me. That's my read of it. But this wasn't the only weird tweet that Jordan Peterson made. That really, in comparison to the next tweet, is nothing. And I really do mean it's like nothing in comparison. So I cannot show you the tweet in question, okay? It is impossible for me to show you the tweet in question because technically Jordan Peterson tweeted out prawn, and it's not said prawn, but for YouTube reasons, I'm going to just say prawn. You can kind of put together what I'm saying here in your head, you know? Prawn Hub, if you want more specific. He tweeted it out thinking that it was real. More specifically, it was fetish prawn on the issue of milking. I'll just read my tweet. I'll just read what I saw in my feed, which, you know, really slapped me in the face. That Jordan Peterson, again, Dr. Jordan Peterson, somebody who's wrote multiple books, somebody who's followed by millions of people, somebody who has quite global influence, has done tons of speeches, has debated people like Slavoj Žižek, somebody who's considered a respected individual, go on Joe Rogan podcast, somebody who says he really cares about issues like media literacy. He posted human milking fetish prawn thinking it was an actual human farm, like a farm but for humans, like, you know how we have cow farms, but it was a human farm in China made to collect sperm to replenish the Chinese population. So he thought it was like a Chinese Communist Party farm, as in you would have like a milking farm for cows. Instead it's humans, and instead of it being hooked up to their udders, it's hooked up to their junk, and it's milking them for their sperm. And then it contains the sperm, it grabs the sperm, and it stores it so they could replenish their like clone army, right? You guys ever seen Star Wars? I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but you know how they have like the clones in Star Wars that they make in the big factories? That's what he thought was actually going on in China. He didn't bother to look up an article to see if China had started human factories. I mean, this would be like an international global story, right? If China was to actually start human factories that are farming human beings to replenish their population, to deal with the fact that the Chinese Communist Party's policies on like the one-child policy has ended up being a drastic failure for their country, and now they're entering a demographic crisis where they don't have enough young people to pay for the social services of the old people, or just enough young people to even take care of the old people, the people who are aging, and to replenish the jobs that are being emptied by the elderly population. He didn't Google it. He didn't ask anybody. He didn't give anybody a phone call. He just saw this prawn, snapshotted it, downloaded it, posted the video on Twitter saying, wow, human farm in China, absolutely horrific. Zero media literacy detected, zero cognitive ability detected. And that's not all, because this is already pretty bad, right? This is already bad, and I can't show you the tweet. And the reason the tweet's not on screen right now is because, again, it's prawn. I can't show it on Twitch. I can't even show it on YouTube, right? So I can't show you the tweet But what I can show you, one second, let me just zoom past it. What I can show you, I know it's in the replies, but I got to be careful. See, almost got to be careful. There is one thing I can show you, which was the fact that, oh God, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. His daughter saw the tweet and responded to it. And you got to think from the perspective of the daughter here for a second, okay? You got to think from the perspective of the daughter. Could you imagine if your father was very popular on Twitter for whatever reason? He could just post like dank memes on the internet, right? But in this instance, he's popular for being an intellectual, you know, a debater, a intellectual man, a philosopher, you know, somebody, a psychologist, you know, he's written books, he's very wealthy because of it. And you go and you see his Twitter post and he's just posting milking prawn thinking it's real. I mean, this would be the equivalent of me posting like furry prawn on Twitter and being like, wow, man, did you see this new program they have in Russia to make like human animal hybrids to fight the Ukrainians? This is a crime against nature. This is horrific. This is the level that we're working at here. So she sees it, and this, I don't know what I would say in this situation. I feel like it would end up blocking my father, or I would go to my father's phone, I would take it, I would delete Twitter and say, you're not allowed on the platform ever again. That's what I would try to do. But apparently she doesn't do that. She instead replies to it. And, dude, replying to it publicly, such a terrible idea. Call him, text him. The only thing that can make it worse is the fact that now we know that his family members saw it. So she responds and says, Dad, you can't retweet this on Twitter. My eyes will never recover. This is embarrassing to a level I can't even imagine. I honestly feel bad for Jordan Peterson, and people have heard my critiques of Jordan Peterson before. I did a video where I critiqued his analysis of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and him trying to connect it to the culture war. I thought it was shallow analysis. It felt like almost like not really like clickbait in the way that he lied about his analysis, but like something that was like almost like an argument that was made specifically for the purpose of garnering clicks because he tried to connect two things that weren't connected. It'd be like if I said like, what's Elon Musk's ties to the Holocaust, right? Like Holocaust, topic that a lot of people care about for good reason. Elon Musk, somebody who's in the news, just kind of put them together, got to like find a connection somehow. That's what it felt like, right? And even though I disagree with this man on a whole host of issues, and I thought that Jagmeet Singh's response was honestly kind of just sad, right? I feel bad for him. Not only because he's humiliated himself, he's since, of course, deleted the tweet. He realized that I couldn't imagine how embarrassed he is, or the articles that websites are publishing about Jordan Peterson right now. I wonder, if I look up Jordan Peterson, does this come up? Jordan Peterson. What comes up? Yeah, I want to see what comes up. If I go to news. Jordan Peterson very concerned by milking prawn factory. Vice News. The first link, man, the first link on Google. I would be unbelievably embarrassed. I would just turn off Twitter. I would delete Twitter, maybe private my account, go away for a week, and start tweeting like it never happened. I wouldn't even acknowledge it, right? I couldn't imagine acknowledging it. I couldn't imagine getting on Twitter and showing my face in public. I'd be so embarrassed. But I think there's a moral to the story here. Because when we think of the order of the events here, let me just recap it one last time before I wrap up here, because there's not much more to say, because it's just funny. That's it. Jordan Peterson saw this video. I do not know where he saw this video. I don't know if somebody sent it to him in DMs and told him that was a human milking factory. I don't know if he saw it on some like janky website. Where does Jordan Peterson get his news on China, right? Because this was not in China Daily. This was not. This was not, I mean, I don't know, maybe he seems like a China Uncensored guy, but this was not on China Uncensored. I don't know where he gets it, but he finds it, and he doesn't Google it. He just downloads it, posts it, and then I guess turns off his phone, revisits it like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours later, sees his daughter telling him, please, Dad, remove this milking prawn from your account, deletes it, and then just goes hides himself and like falls to obscurity for a few hours, probably embarrassed all hell. But that didn't stop him for too long because he kept tweeting shortly after. The only thing I have to say about this is when you have a massive platform, and this is true about everybody with a platform, period, but especially when you have a platform of such size, right? And definitely when he tries to like kind of advertise himself as a serious foreign policy commentator, like he talks about foreign policy, whether it was his video about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, whether it was his calls for an overthrow of the government in Iran, and his videos about the women's revolution in Iran and his commentary on that, or his commentary on any other number of foreign policy issues, if he's going to talk about these serious topics that are not related to what he actually has an expertise in, which is psychology, when he talks about psychology, he's not nearly as aloof is the nice way to put it. Okay, he's not nearly as much like spraying intellectual diarrhea everywhere.
Blue Rider of Neptune gifted 2 tier 1 subscriptions. Dylan is also a human milking factory, lol, throwing kisses.
That is, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I don't know if you mean I milk the subs, or if you're just saying, if you're just calling me a hoe. I don't know what that's meant to be. I'm gonna just say I milk the content. I'm gonna take that from that. I'm gonna take the most polite interpretation from that. All I'm saying is if you're not an expert in something and you want to comment it on it, especially if it's a gigantic platform, for the very least, Google what you're gonna put out there. Don't just like throw stuff out there blindly, right? Do a quick Google search, message somebody that might have expertise in this, because I'm sure Jordan Peterson has a few friends who knows a thing or two about China that he could have sent this to and they would have laughed in his face about and say, don't post that, don't post that, don't post that, right? But no, his first instinct was to post it. His first instinct was to post it, take it on face value. And again, the big thing that lastly, to wrap this up, because I could just, it's hard for me to align my thoughts because this is just really funny. Lastly, I am so curious how he got a hold of this video, because he probably didn't get it from its source. He probably didn't go to, to the hub and find it. So where did he get it? Where did he find this video? Is there somebody DMing him this type of stuff? Did he, does he have like a website that he goes to? Is this like the Epoch Times that I missed, like a segment that they had in their paper? Who knows? That's something that he'll probably never share with the public, because he probably, if he could, would avoid talking about this at all times. But if I ever get a chance to talk to Jordan Peterson, even if it's just for a single question at some press interview, I'm going to ask him about this. That's now something I'm putting on my bucket list. It is asking Jordan Peterson where he got his milking prawn from that he posted on Twitter. Oof, what a story.